Okay, back to the live action. We're back in Pool C, or Pool D rather, and it is France up against the Olympic champions, no less, the Flying Fijians. Talk you through is Rob Vickerman and Joe Burns.
Well, what a start to this Pool D. It was a consummate victory from France, 36 points to 14, with a hat-trick thrown in there from the captain, Borlan Riva. And it is a Fiji reeling from a first ever loss to Ireland on the HSBC World Sevens Series. And history has been quite kind to Les Bleus. 2-3 in the head-to-head over the last 5 games. And to put that into perspective, they've only ever won 6 in their whole history against the Fijians. Is this the time to strike and make it a magnificent sevens? The Fijians look fragile after being dispatched by Ireland. Tries from Conroy and Terry Kennedy. Well, one thing we know about Ben Gollings is Fiji is they are packed full of class, and you switch off for a moment, those guys will punish you.
Just had a chat down by the pitch side with Ben Ryan, obviously famed for his Fijian groundbreaking coaching efforts, and he actually fancies France has been a bit of a dark horse for the tournament, which can be a very difficult entity for the Fijians about to run out.
Well, of course, Ben Ryan, he was involved with France for a little bit in a consultancy role back in 2019-20, just for the briefest of periods. But France are a nation who are taking their sevens very, very seriously. They've got their big training base down in Marcoussis, and they were absolutely gutted to not be involved in Tokyo. And they started with a statement against Japan earlier this morning.
I really like the look of the French. I've been saying for a while they've been building, not quite hit the dizzy heights that we expected them to. Look at how good they were in Dubai. Didn't carry that through to Spain, but a team with 3 players in the top 10 for tries. Expect to see points aplenty in this game. 2
talented sides, you want a talented man in the middle, and Jordan Way makes it 113 matches with the whistle between his lips. Big game coming up. France versus Fiji, round 2 of Pool D at the HSBC World Series Singapore Sevens.
Hench, that's how you best describe Jordan Way, isn't it? Never great when the referee's more stacked than you as a player.
A nervous hush descends. Asana Thuku gets us underway and plucked from the Singapore skies straight away by Les Bleus. And goodness me, do they shift. Dragged down desperately just by the handful of a jersey. Electric start from the French.
There's a lot of time spent on tactics from restarts, said about how crucial it is in the game. I don't know why the Fijians just kicked it to potentially the most dangerous man on the field for France. Jordan Sefo, who wears 12 for France, keep watching him. He is taking this year by storm. If he's not going to be shortlisted for Player of the Year, I will be amazed.
Early calls from Player of the Year coming in from Rob Vickerman. But talk about easiest tries of the year. It is walked across the line virtually by Joachim Truabal. France drawing blood first, although there's a grounding that needs to be checked first. Here we go, Vix.
Jordan Way looks on. It's actually a push to try and knock Truabal toward the sideline. Got to watch the feet in the air.
Geordie, when you're on the screen,
staying nice and fresh.
Just wait till you're on the screen.
A canny finish.
No shadow of a doubt. Fabulous finish, but he was afforded so much room out in that 15-metre, maybe 20-metre channel by the time he got the ball. Nice strike, but not the conversion. France lead Fiji 5 points to 0.
Well, already seeing that attack. What a lovely juxtaposition there. The French and Fijian support both loving their time here. The HSBC Singapore Sevens, and how can you not? Action-packed already.
Well, the good people of Singapore being treated to a day out of sport, a day's entertainment finally, COVID restrictions being relaxed, and us welcoming 12,000 spectators into the National Stadium. There's not a ticket in town for this one. And why would there be when the Flying Fijians are on the show menu. First time with them, with their hands on the ball. We saw against Ireland, when they've got it, they're deadly. But if you starve them, that's when things begin to unravel. As it is, they have possession, good tackle, restricting the offload as well from France. They slow the ball initially, but Fiji, they still come.
Quiet!
A snipe and a dart. Fiji look to test the seams of the fringes. And when you want a try, Waisea Natuku is the man to deliver the goods.
Just taking their time in the in goals, as they are obliged to do, unless there's pressure coming in from Perez Ledo. He didn't have to put the ball down. Call about the experience needed when the backs are against the wall. You've got Jerry Tuai starting it, and then alongside him, his lieutenant. Why's the Thunku? They're the experienced players within this team, alongside Vakurabili and the rest. Relatively youngful, without that experience, but equally as talented.
Well, Nathuku is a man who has just converted his own score, but he's also a man who scores when Fijian backs are against the wall. They were under the pump against Japan day one of the Olympics, and his 2 scores got them through that match, and it sent them on their way to an Olympic gold. They're already under it, having lost to Ireland in the opening game, and that try gets them back into this one against a talented French team. Perez looking for the try-scoring phenomenon. Sefo. This is an all-court display from the French team at the moment. Le Gel. There's a fluidity to France at the moment. A goose step marching through the Fijian defence. Pirouette from Troubal, the try-scorer.
Backwards!
Pasquet, we saw a lovely out-the-back-door assist from him against Japan. Sefo asks the question in the 15-metre channel. They're big and tall and rangy, these French players. And they're finding room in the wide channels. Fiji struggling to make the decisive hits at the moment. Perez goes on his own and he's very isolated.
No.
Fiji missed the jackal opportunity, and
Thank you.
the French seem to have time on the ball. They're patient with their big men and waiting just for a creak in that Fijian defence, and by the time it creaks, they're strolling. And Paulan Riva has 4 in the tournament.
We often say in the game of sevens, you're never going to get a stressed Fijian. They deal well with pressure often by just enjoying the moment and being there, but this is slightly concerning at the ease of which the French are keeping hold of the ball. The way that Fiji really transitioned their defence over the years has been through a tenacity at the breakdown. We're not necessarily seeing that as much. The French going from side to side, keeping hold of the ball brilliantly well. And it's fatiguing the Fijians, and this inexperience at this level is absolutely showing, and it's leading to the scoreline you see in top left.
Well, that Olympic gold that we saw in the summer in Tokyo, that was built on titanic defence, both at the breakdown and in open play from Fiji. It's something that is notable by its absence thus far in Singapore. But they're still scoring tries and they have possession.
Backwards.
Slips through the fingertips backwards. Nathuku, the try scorer. More dancing play, and Fiji break free through Jerry Tuai. He has support on the shoulder, intricate through the midfield. Oh, and just when he needed the pass, it was too close to the laces of Joseva Talakolo.
We play the scrum.
There will be time Here's the first sign, Jerry Tuwai, the great Jerry Tuwai, Rob Vickerman.
Yeah, finds a space, beats 3 defenders. Not often seen out on the wing, but he's just trying to create opportunity with ball in hand. He does so, Vakarubili gets it, tries to get that ball across to the supporting Rasaku, not quite there. And as you mentioned, the guy that was tearing up trees in Dubai, Talafolo, sadly couldn't quite claim that ball, and if he does, get set to watch his highlight reel. He is a phenomenal player.
Let's come in a little bit. Bind!
Big scrum for France. They don't want to concede. And they are content to go in to the half-time break with the 5-point lead. France on top against the Flying Fijians, already with a loss to their name. They are staring at loss number 2. They trail France 12 points to 7 at the half-time break at the HSBC Singapore Sevens. Rob Vickerman. This is an unusual scenario to find Fiji in a World Series tournament. There are going to be some big and important words being said in this huddle from Ben Gollings.
Yeah, hopefully we get to hear some of it, and I promise I'm equally as interested as people watching. Can't quite hear him, but the lines will be around about seeing this as the challenge, and it certainly is that.
So Rob Vickerman, you'll strike me as a man who will know this. From your time with Ben Gollings, with Ben Ryan, Ben Gollings is delivering that in English, but not all English native speakers in there. How's the message translated?
Well, with his assistant, I think there's going to be a big part of passing on the messages, keeping it really simple.
Well, there he is. No one has ever scored more points than him in World Series history. In fact, no one scored more than his 141 points here at the Singapore Sevens. He knows a thing or two about winning World Series events. 12 of the 24 finals that he reached, he hoisted the trophy.
Great fact coming in from the previous tournaments. These two flip-flopping in Dubai, but the team that was winning at half-time went on to win the game. That will be in France's favour, undoubtedly in the back of their minds.
Well, that is all too easy for Le Gel. But terrific counter-rucking from Fiji, and then they can't help but put their fingers in the till. And France, happy to drive at the Fijian defence, who had their backs turned, but lost forward in the contact. Ooh, all the energy was with Les Bleus then.
The counter-ruck from your first minute final.
But that was really effective implementation of probably what was said at half-time, because the contest at the breakdown is what France didn't get challenged with that first half. Fiji, Jerry Tuwai shaking his head as he then tracks back to try and stop it. Yes, they gave the penalty away, but the intent was there. So clearly they're trying to get stuck into the French a bit more than they did in the first half. And this, the typical Fijian tackle around the ball, trying to strip it. And because it's been dislodged slightly, the humidity all playing a factor. Perez lands on it and knocks it on Fiji. They need the next score here.
Well, the tackle completion rate for both sides is enough to give any defensive coach nightmares out there, but France are going to be the happiest with the scoreboard on their side. How long will that last, though, as Fiji go on the streak through the midfield and through Nadia Valo, the debutant, gets Fiji right back into this contest.
Well, you ask how long it takes. Often start your watch, because it'll be less than 10 seconds. That is the ability of Fiji to turn it round. Luthunku starts it on the arc run, gets that outside line, and then that lovely little adjustment. What an angle we're seeing there, tracking that inside line from Lando Loba. He gets that ball on that inside, and then it's just out and out wheels.
Well, Nadiavalo, he went coast to coast against the Australians in Suva last month in the tournament that the Aussie and the New Zealand Sevens attended. So just leaving defenders in his wake. And we just got a taste of what he can do when the field opens up for him. Decisive finishing, and with the conversion, Fiji all of a sudden take the lead.
And that's big for their psychology. So not that they'll spend much time really thinking about that necessarily. Fiji
off, please.
personify passion in a game of sevens. But the way that they've played the game doesn't have to rely on them having the ball off, and that's how lethal they can be. They need it for minimal amounts of possessions. That's probably quite surprising, only to see one offload from them, because the point of difference of how Fiji play the game is you cannot nail them down to the floor. It's constantly moving. They don't mind offloads, they don't mind errors, but at the moment it's their defence and that competition at the ruck is where they need to perhaps address.
Pulled away.
Well, direct stuff from the captain, Riva Perez, distributing. France in possession for the first time in this half. The new man, Nelson Epe, takes his first contact. Riva out to the wide flanks. Oh, they got themselves in a tangle there, France, and Fijian defenders were sniffing, and they just got a taste. Enough to see them across the 22 threshold through the dancing feet of Jerry Tuwai. But just when it looks like they're going to come away, France have it now. Oh, was that the pass? They decline it. And Rayan Rebadge, oh, kisses the finger and points to the sky. Sevens from heaven against Fiji.
Well, talk about transition in the game of rugby, specifically sevens. Fiji looking for all money that they were going to score and get back in the game. Then that throw ball on the inside didn't find the man. Perez picks it up, but what I love about this, check out this support line. Epe, he runs it, Perez dummies that short line, he absorbs the defender, and then the supporting Rebaj finds the space. That is sevens beauty. The frantic nature of being on that touchline, going full tilt, to have that composure, that was special from France.
Well, look at that.
You tell me when you're ready to go, and I'll call
Kings
okay?
of the offloads, the French, 143, Japan next on that list, and it's a testament to the size and physicality of the French players as well. They're big and they're rangy, and they're looking for that offload game. They're looking for those support runners that you mentioned were working so hard off the ball there. But here come Fiji, looking to reply immediately. Snagged on the outskirts of their 22. The reload's good, crunching double hit from the French. Fiji looking to pick the lock. Their offloading game gets working.
Oh, that's a dangerous tackle.
That was a dangerous one, and we might see a card here. Just falling from the initial tackle and the second one coming in.
Well, for all the great warriors, there's often the Achilles heel, and this is absolutely the French's. They've had the most yellow cards of any team this season with 13. Chuck on another one. That's 14 now. And it is pivotal, these huge moments. 5 points they lead, but you've now given Fiji the ball in your own red zone.
Fiji looking to play with the numerical advantage, try and go alone, and the defence holds firm for the time being. But the pressure forces a bit of offside play, and the man who went from 50 metres before will go from 5 this time. Nadiavalo makes it 2 against France.
I like to see the finish, but it's the setup that was more impressive. Talatholo, he's about 6'5", but this is the controversial bit. Shot to the head, absolutely. I think that might well be having further discussions in the sighting room, but this lovely moment, towering above Perez, If he had a set of ladders, he wouldn't be able to stop that one. The rangy Fijian with the deft touch over the top. Just love to see it.
A big conversion added as well. 30 seconds on the clock, and Fiji just squeeze into the lead. It felt like a game that they haven't been in for huge parts, but as you said, these guys happy to play without the ball.
That can be Fiji. In terms of possession of the game, they often hit 1 or 2 minutes of ball in hand. They do not need the ball a lot, but when they get it, they're devastated. This next play is huge.
France are being asked to go from all the way back in their 5-meter line. They've got the skills. They've got the pace. Can they find the hole? Risky offloading, and it's caught around the thighs. Remember, France playing with 6. Fiji and Jersey swarming.
You've got to tee up your danger players. The man that's going to do some damage for France is Epé. He's about to get on this near side. You've got to get him involved. You don't need him rooking, you need him playmaking.
It was reckless ruck work. The French flying past, and Fiji looking for another try through the ranks. Goodness me, they love to delight the fans here in Singapore. Fiji finished with a flourish. Talatholo.
Well,
to put an exclamation mark on the Fijian performance.
Well, of course you're going to see smiles on faces. We're talking about the seismic moment about to come up. Extra time we're into the red. This ball just needs to be kicked off. Never mind that. I'm going to throw it through my legs. Imagine having that mindset. That's why they play with smiles on their faces. Pressure is intense, but entertainment is through the roof.
Well, Fiji, they get the job done. They get the job done eventually. And a final kick that doesn't go through the uprights. And Fiji beat France 19 points to 26.